Blog Talk Radio.
Well, here we go, batting down the hatches. It's Tuesday. It's that time again. It's coming out of Cleveland, Ohio. It's the American Sports History Podcast, hosted by a brother, a mentor, and a friend, Peter Ray. Yours truly, Mark Mancini, producing it 2,500 miles to the west of him. 347-205-9631. If you happen to miss it, we realize 30 minutes goes by quick. blogtalkradio.com/Mancini Sports. Podcast platforms, wherever you subscribe to podcast, powered now by Mancini Media. So without further ado, more of him, less of me. Let me lay the red carpet down, put that podium in its place, hand off the mic. Peter the Threes. How are you? How can people get a hold of you? And I know Alice, your beautiful wife, is listening to this show. Favorite guest when he comes on every 2 weeks. Batting down the hatches, I'm going to man the boards, my friends.
Hi, Mark. I'm doing well. I have a YouTube channel. It's my name, Peter J. REA. You're absolutely right. Tonight's guest played Major League Baseball from 1971 to 1981 with the Chicago Cubs, Oakland A's, LA Dodgers, and San Francisco Giants. He's tied with Dave Collins' 79th all-time career stolen bases. He won 2 World Series championships, 1973 and 74 with the Oakland A's. 395 career stolen bases, 2-time American League stolen base leader, 1974 and 76. More than 1,000 hits. The first Oakland A's DH won a National League pennant in 78 with the Dodgers. 3 times led the American League in total chances per game, twice in putouts, once in assists from the outfield on double plays. And you're right, our guest is my dear wife Alice's favorite podcast guest because he's a good man with a good heart and a good sense of humor. Welcome to the show, the starting center fielder and leadoff hitter for the coolest MLB team of all time, the Oakland A's from the early 1970s, Mr. Bill North.
Oh, Peter, you silver-tongued devil. Yeah, everything's all right, Peter. How about you?
Everything's good. Now we haven't we sort of abandoned going through your memories of teammates from the past. I thought we'd continue with that. The 78 your last year in Oakland with the 78 that's where we stopped when we stopped doing it months ago. What do you remember about Dwayne Murphy?
I taught him everything he knew, and he took it and made it even better. It's a great center fielder, good kid. Hell of a player. Had a good run.
Okay, Tito Fuentes.
Tito was over there with the Giants for years, and Tito was a classy player and had flair and was a good guy. Always had a smile on his face. Yeah.
Keogh.
Matt Keogh.
Keogh.
Yeah, his dad was a player too. Good pitcher. He came up as when he signed, he was a shortstop, but they put him on that mound, and he was one of those guys that later, with Mike Norris and Brian Kingman and what was the other one? They were 420 game winners. Yeah. Yeah.
Rick Langford.
Nice guy. Tremendous competitor. We drew him into that team, and he fit in. You know, he was a little more quiet than most of us, but a good guy and a tremendous competitor.
Pete Broberg.
Wow. I don't know if he was there with me.
Oh, because you got traded in halfway through the year. Maybe he came before. Yeah. He was there after.
Yeah, I got traded in May. Yeah.
Maybe he came later. Steve Renko.
Can't remember him either.
Elias Sosa.
Can't remember him either. I was on my way out. I probably left before most of those guys came. Yeah.
Joe Coleman.
Joe Coleman, good pitcher. He was one of the boys. Yeah, he did a good job for us. Yeah. With all that weak stuff that he had, he could still get them out. Yeah.
Joey from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, his favorite manager is Lou Piniella. Do you have any thoughts on Lou Piniella as a manager and player?
As a manager? Oh, he was a good manager, excellent manager, and he was a player's guy, and luckily enough, I got to see him this summer at the All-Star game, and we were sitting in Dusty's the office, and you had Ken Griffey Jr., Lou Piniella, myself, Dusty, and Steve Surratt, the manager of the Mariners, and he said, "Hold on a minute." He left the room and came back with a camera. He wanted to get a picture of all those guys together, and it was a good time, but good man.
Okay, you got traded to the Dodgers in, what do you say, in May of '78?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you remember about Tommy Lasorda?
Tommy Lasagna, because he was always eating. He and I got along good. It was the kind of thing that, all those guys came up with Tommy being AA and AAA manager. He was in Albuquerque, and that was AA. But those guys all came through. Say and Russell and Davy Lopes and Garvey all came through with Tommy Lasorda. He was good to me. Yeah.
Now, how often did you hear him talking about bleeding Dodger blue? Is that you remember? Often.
Too often.
Okay.
Tommy was a showman too.
Did guys roll their eyes when they heard that?
Well,
bleeding Dodger blue.
Some of them were bleeding Dodger blue. That thing there. But Tommy called me and Joe Ferguson the Nose Brothers because we knew something about everything.
Okay, your teammates on the Dodgers, Steve Yeager.
We go back to AA ball. He was hell of a catcher. He could throw me out in AA. And had a good long career, and we called him Yang. And hell of a catcher, good catcher, yeah.
Steve Garvey.
Garv was a good teammate, and he was always kind to me. Not all of them Dodgers loved him, but as far as I was concerned, he came to play every day, and he was a good dude.
Yeah, you had him on your show.
Nice guy. I'm glad that he honored me with that. And got to get him back one day soon.
Yeah, and one of the greatest World Series plays was when you were stealing, took off on a pitch in the '74 World Series, and it was a ground ball to the left side, I think, and you didn't think twice about going to third because you thought, what did you say, Garvey? You didn't think Garvey could make the throw, or?
No. What it was Say was coming in on the ball, and so getting back to third base would have been difficult for him.
Right.
And because it was a little ground ball to the interior of the infield, and he was going in on it. They had to make the play to first. And when I looked up, going around second base, when I looked up, third base seemed there was nobody there, so I kept going. Yeah.
Should Bill Russell have gone over to cover?
Well, I don't know, but I remember that the head first slide, and it was just being aggressive.
Did Garvey make a throw?
Yeah.
So Say got back.
Maybe Russell somebody was over there.
Oh, okay.
I had to see the play again, but it wasn't that close. Yeah.
And that was a cool play. I remember you talked about it, and I saw it's in the highlights. So that was great. That was one of the things that made you exciting. Plays like that.
Yeah.
Going to from first to third on a ground ball.
It's calculated aggression.
That was Jackie Robinson-esque.
Thank you. That's high time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That was what's great about when Jackie came in and made, the black players made the game more fun. It's entertainment, and he got on first, and everyone's on the edge of their seat. And the same thing with you when you got on first. That was made it fun, and fly balls to center. Okay, let's see Billy go out, take off, and get this ball. And what's Billy going to do on first?
Yeah. Hey, man, they knew what I was going to do, Peter. That's why I didn't call it stealing bases. I called it taking bases. Everybody in the ballpark knew what I was going to do. So.
Yeah, that's what's cool about your career. You're on that Oakland A's team, which was just incredible to me. It is my favorite team all time. And then you go to the Dodgers. You're on to this other very iconic team. All these memorable players. Let's continue with Davey Lopes.
Davey Lopes, he gave me one of the greatest compliments I ever had in the game. When I came over there, and we got to know each other. He said to me, "Boy, when you were on the other team, I hated your butt, but now I know you're a good teammate, and that's a compliment that is really important to a player, to be a good teammate."
Sure.
And, yeah.
Well, he hated you because when you'd get on first, it made his life a lot tougher. He's got to field balls and thinking about covering second and hoping he gets a good throw, and you don't make it to second.
Yeah, but it's a kind of thing that I had been in the American League most of my career before that, and so I didn't get to play against him very much. But it was the kind of thing that they came in there. We went from Baltimore to L.A. after we beat the Orioles in the playoffs, and somebody on their team said there are only two players on the Oakland A's team that could even be on our team.
Who were they?
Reggie Jackson and maybe Catfish.
Okay. Okay.
And Dick Green, because they called me the paper boy. I always picked up newspapers wherever we went, and I read that to the team on the bus. And Dick Green said, "Man, I didn't even care about this World Series that much. We had already won 2. So, but we're going to beat their asses." And 5 games later, we sent them home, and they were going out of Oakland talking about the best team lost. But I got the 74 ring on my hand right now.
Did you and Davey Lopes compare notes on stealing bases?
No, he was a different kind of runner than me.
Okay.
But he was a glider and I was power.
Uh-huh.
And that, but he could still. He was a force. Good base stealer. Yeah.
Okay, Bill Russell. What do you remember about Bill Russell?
Good teammate. We all got along, and I can't remember. Maybe Yeager was a little bit more difficult to get along with, but Russell was a good guy and a good, solid player. The one thing is, though, they talked about Russell and Lopes and how they would never leave their feet to keep a ball in the infield. They didn't dive very often.
Uh-huh.
They didn't want to get that. They didn't want to get that Dodger uniform dirty.
Okay, Ron Cey.
Penguin. He's from Tacoma. He went to school up here and played at Washington State, which had the best program in our state. and that. But he left right before I got there, and but we played against him in college, and Ronnie was. Those guys were consistent. They made the routine play all the time, and which happens more often than the exceptional play. And they had been together so long, you know. And those guys, hey, they had some good guys over there.
I was watching a video, and it had started calling say peg leg. Did he mind being called Penguin and Peg Leg?
No, that was his nickname.
Okay.
And Vida gave me that nickname when I was with. He called me Penguin.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Him and Angel Mongol. Yeah. Because I walk kind of funny too. So anyway.
Now the next guy is going to be your guest tomorrow. We've talked about him a lot already, but we can always talk more about Dusty Baker.
You can't talk enough about him. He's a good friend. We've known each other for over 50 years, and I met him on Arizona State campus when we were in Winter Instructional League. And when I first met him, we didn't know each other, but we knew of each other. The first time I met him, we started talking and we've been friends ever since. One thing I'll say about Dusty Baker, he was the same person then as he is today. I mean, consistent and just the way he is, never changed.
And is he retired now? Retired now?
Yeah, he retired this year after the season. Yeah.
Did he talk about his retirement plans?
Well, he's got stuff going all the time. You know, he's got he owns a winery and he's owned the company for years that is a solar energy company, an energy company, and that'll keep him busy. But he told me the other day, he said, "Hey man, you know what? They're keeping me real busy now." You know, he's gonna go in February to New York to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from the writers in New York. And that's a good honor. That's a great honor because he has achieved so much in his lifetime. And, you know, get me talking about Dusty Baker. We'll be here all day long. And I was looking up his son. His son is about ready to be in, next year, probably be in the big leagues with, gosh, who's he with? He's with Washington, isn't he? Yeah, Washington National. Yeah, he'll probably be in the big leagues next year. He had a great season down there in AAA. Darren.
That little boy who almost got into a collision during the World Series as a bat boy, is that the same person?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what? The kid is also a martial arts guy, and he plays classical piano.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Good kid.
Yeah, Reggie, go ahead.
Yeah, he's a real smooth fielder. Real smooth. Moves real good. You know, he's filled out a little bit and that. But Reggie Smith, he's a good teammate too. Yeah. Got along with pretty much all of them over there. But Reggie, I saw Reggie when my last year in college, when the Seattle Pilots, when they had the team here in Seattle, and just a tremendous athlete. He's also a third-degree black belt in karate, and yeah, you don't want to get locked in a room with him and him be mad at you. You know?
Yeah, the Dodgers had tremendous outfielders.
Yeah, they had Reggie in right, and me and Monday in center, and Dusty. Yeah, I played with two of the best left fielders ever to play the game. in my opinion, Joe Rudy and Dusty Baker.
What do you remember about Rick Monday?
Oh yeah, he came from the Cubs over there, and Rick Monday was L.A. all the way. He took advantage of his opportunities in L.A. Yeah, and he kept running him out there. Yeah.
Lee Lacy.
Lee Lacy had a good career, man. We played against each other in the minor leagues too, and in the Texas League. Was a good player, utility player, and won and could really hit. He was a good hitter, and friend of mine.
He was on your show 3 times.
Yeah, he had a lot to say, and he was a great interview, and he's up there with, as far as it goes, with Darrell Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Darrell Evans.
Right.
We had him on a couple of times too, but great interviews, and great teammates as far as I was concerned. Yeah.
Joe Ferguson.
Good man, good athlete. He could play the outfield and catch. He was mostly the starting catcher. Him and Yeagers, they would put Ferguson in the outfield, and Yeager would catch for certain pitchers. But Joe Ferguson, he was one of the Nose brothers.
Jerry Grody.
When you play against Jerry Grody, he seems so gruff, and he was serious about the game and he was a tough guy. He was actually tough. Some of them think they're tough, but Jerry Grody was tough. Yeah.
So you were with him in L.A. 5 years after the '73 World Series. Did you guys ever talk about the '73 World Series and '78 on the Dodgers?
No, I didn't play in '73 because I got hurt. '74. But he was a good teammate too down there. Oh shoot, that team was good. We ended up losing to the Yankees, and the Yankees they were powerful. But those guys, hey man, we beat everybody else up. Got there anyway.
And you're with Vic Davalillo again. You were with him in Oakland, right? And then you were with him. And what do you remember about Vic Davalillo with the Dodgers?
Vic Davalillo, same guy. Vic, man, he came out of that Pittsburgh thing, the lumber company. He was over there, but he was a really good hitter. Had a strike zone from the top of his feet to the top of his head, and but he made contact all the time. And Johnny Oates. Go ahead. Johnny Oates, good teammate. Johnny Oates was a nice guy. Got along with everybody.
I got a friend of mine got a foul ball hit by Johnny Oates.
Did he? Yeah.
Yep.
I know you getting around to Manny Mota.
He's next. Manny Mota. Yeah.
Yeah, Manny Mota. Yeah. Manny Mota was he was the guru of the team. He had been in the game a long time. A great pinch hitter and a wonderful. He was like the elder citizen, elder teammate, and he knew a lot about the game. And he ended up managing third base for the Dodgers. But just a nice man, good family man, and took care of the other players, him and Baker, Baker would always, especially the young guys, bring food to them to make sure they're eating right. And Mota was too. Mota introduced me to paella. In New York, he would bring in a big old aluminum tin, those big pans full of paella. And shoot, hey, I eat that to this day.
Is that Dominican food?
Well, it's Latin.
Latin food, right?
Yeah, yeah, because they do it all over the Caribbean and Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
Glenn Burke.
Glenn Burke, I got traded for him. I knew Glenn though, and Glenn was a good person. He was trouble, but he one of the best athletes I ever saw. Could have played in the NBA. He was that good. Shoot, I was playing one-on-one with him one time, and he was so strong. When he went up to the basket, carried me up on one arm and stuffed it. Yeah.
Okay.
Tremendous athlete. Yeah.
Wow. Rudy Law.
Rudy Law. Yeah, that's a little left-handed hitter. He had just come up. Good kid, kind of quiet, but he was a Dodger product, and yeah, I enjoyed him too. Yeah.
And another one of the tremendous Dodger outfielders, Pedro Guerrero.
He came up with Dave Stewart and Joe Simon. They all came up at the same time in '78, and hey man, he was a man, and just really strong, really strong. Nice guy too, yeah.
Okay, the pitching staff, Don Sutton.
Well, Hall of Fame. So yeah, Sutton was all right. I got along with him. Him and Garvey didn't always get along. They kind of bumped heads during that season, but Sutton was a good pitcher. He like I said, Hall of Fame, and he was a politician too. Him and Garvey.
So who would intervene when Sutton and Garvey were butting heads? Anybody?
Well, they wouldn't let him. They got away from him one time, but Garvey was pretty self-contained, and there were cliques on that team, and the wives had cliques, and sometimes the wives were telling their husbands what they didn't like, and they'd come to the ballpark and express what they did. That was the first year. '78 was the first year that they allowed women in the locker room, and in Philadelphia they started that, and it was the kind of thing that I didn't change my routines and stuff. Sometimes we walked around in a towel and all that. I kept my thing, and that's how. and Baker named me Rated X after that.
And that was free agency was in, so that was creating a lot of, I would think, a lot of potential conflict when guys were, getting these big contracts a lot, and then there was sort of jealousy over money because of the disparity. I never worried about that, about how much a guy was making. I was making more than the average, but when you're on that, when the season starts and when you're in spring training, it don't matter how much money you make. It's what you're doing for me lately, and it's the kind of thing that
We went on strike in 72 to get these guys that money. And if you went through baseball right now and asked who Curt Flood was, I'd say 75-80% of them wouldn't know. But Curt Flood was the one.
Or Marvin Miller.
Marvin Miller. Yep. And Arthur Goldberg. Curt went to the Supreme Court. He lost, but he put that subject of free agency out there, and the reserve clause was struck down. And Peter Seitz
and the other guy, the other Dodgers starter. Oh hell, was he gone by then? By 78. What's his? Andy Messersmith. Bill, we're out of time. Do you have any final words for our audience?
I love you guys. Thanks for listening, and God bless you. And
we also had go ahead. Yeah. We also had a comment from Lance. Go ahead, Bill. We also had a comment from Lance from Pensacola, Florida. Nice comment. And Steve from Corvallis, Oregon. So our guest has been the leadoff hitter and center fielder for the coolest MLB team of all time, the Oakland A's from the early 1970s. Sadly, we're out of time. We could talk for a long time. We'll be back with Bill in 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to have Matthew DiBiase talking NFL history. Jimmy Johnson, coach of the Cowboys and Dolphins, and mostly in the 90s. John Harbaugh, still the Baltimore Ravens.
University of Miami, remember that.
Who's that?
Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about Jimmy Johnson, John Harbaugh next week, and Bill North in 2 weeks. So thanks a million, Bill, for another wonderful interview. What a gift having you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much, Peter, and thank the fans for listening to us. That's not a given.
Keeping the 70s alive. Yeah, keeping the 70s alive, and all you guys, the 70s A's alive. Wonderful memories of everything you guys did.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Yeah.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you. What a gift. Dear listener, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Good night, everybody. Thanks again so much, Mr. Bill North.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks. Very good.